Let's now bring in NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell with the latest on the U.S. response to this crisis. Kelly, good morning. So U.S. officials have been warning an invasion could happen in a matter of days. There's this new intelligence. What's the latest on what they're saying about the timing?
Well, it remains tense, and there, of course, is great concern, and the White House will be watching very closely these reports of Russia maybe changing its posture along the border, as Matt was outlining. Too soon to tell on that. But part of what the White House is trying to say is there still is room for diplomacy if Vladimir Putin is willing to engage on that. And we're seeing some of that today with the German chancellor there, and with the expectation of a day full of talks with the German chancellor, who, of course, was just here at the White House a few days ago. And President Biden has been talking with and in close contact with his European partners, trying to have everyone on the same page and trying to, through each of the conversations they have been having, press the same message that there would be a very high cost to Russia if they go forward into Ukraine, and to try to say that there would be a united response, and it would be economic in nature, and it would be crippling for Russia. There could, of course, be consequences for Europe and the United States as well economically that would come from that. So they're trying to use whatever measures they can. Now, on the timing, Pentagon spokesman John Kirby talked about some of the intelligence that the U.S. has been watching and the concern that we're in a window now where there could be action from Russia at any point. Here's John Kirby.
Even over the last 24 to 48, over the course of the weekend, Mr. Putin has added military capability along that border with Ukraine and in Belarus. I won't get into a specific date. I don't think that would be smart. I would just tell you that it is entirely possible that he could move with little to no warning.
One of the questions has been, would Russia take any action during the time of the Olympics, which run through Sunday? And the U.S. has been consistently saying in the last few days that that is a possibility. And so that's part of why we've seen this heightened sense of caution and warning and the flurry of diplomatic activity, because they don't believe that the international sort of peaceful sporting event is any kind of protection against action from Russia if Vladimir Putin were to decide that it was the right time to move. Savannah, Joe?
And Kelly, one of these actions that we've seen taken, we mentioned at the top of the show, the U.S. temporarily closing its embassy in Kyiv, moving it to the western part of the country away from the Russian border. What does this move mean for the diplomatic staff still in Ukraine, those who are moving to the western part of the country, and any American citizens who are still in the country?
Well, the message for American citizens who are not part of the diplomatic corps is to leave Ukraine. The U.S. is saying there will not be an effort to send U.S. military into the country for any rescue mission if there is an armed conflict later. So they're saying leave now, and that there are NATO partners along the border where U.S. Citizens can get easy access to NATO countries where they would be safe. So that message has been going out for weeks, and it has been ramped up. Regarding the diplomats, they have drawn down significantly the number of working diplomats in the missions, the diplomatic missions in the different sites in Ukraine. So in the capital city of Kyiv, that was the main location. But intelligence has suggested that that could be an attack site, not the U.S. embassy per se, but the city itself. And so they have moved to the far western city of Lviv to try to give some distance and to have an operating place for American diplomatic personnel, a very small number, we're told, but to give them physical distance away from the Russian border.
And Kelly, before I let you go, let's talk about the potential paths to diplomacy that remain. So far, efforts by the U.S. and other countries, I mean, they really haven't gone anywhere. We've also really seen other countries take the lead on diplomatic conversations with the Kremlin. How is the U.S. working with its European allies at this point to keep a peaceful option on the table?
Well, President Biden would say he spoke to Putin directly this weekend, and so that he is engaged as well. Obviously, this is in Europe's backyard, and so part of what the U.S. position has been is that the European leaders have a great deal at stake here, and they have to have a large voice. But the U.S. has a sacred commitment, as the president will often say, through the NATO partnership to defend those European allies if there is aggression that extends beyond Ukraine to those NATO partners. So it is one of those things where on the surface we're not seeing any diplomatic breakthroughs. If there is any break that moves toward peace, that could be something that would happen with little notice, and one that all parties involved here are saying they're still hopeful could happen. Savannah, Joe?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.